JSP Directives. Okay, so we have three directives in JSP. One is Page Directive, Include Directive, and tag-lib directive. Let's look at what is this Page Directive. Okay, so page directive can set the attributes for the current JSP page. Page directives has so many attributes. Buffer is there, so you can set the size of the buffer for this particular JSP file. Import, it's like import a particular package in Java file, the same thing. Content type, so you remember in servlets we used to write set content type. See here, set content type, text/HTML in the servlet response. So you can just use set content type. In JSP file here also you would have, like, it's not there, but couple of the moment it creates a JSP file, it writes the content for you. Yeah, content type text/HTML. The moment it generates, right? Okay, page at page, language is Java, content type is text/HTML. Extends, you can extend. See, since it is converted to a servlet, okay, extends. You can extend from another servlet file. Info is a get servlet info. You can, if you write the set servlet info, you can obtain in info, which it calls get servlet info. So you will be using import as you will be using predominantly import in the page directive. Okay. Okay, let me show you the directive, page directive. Yeah. Okay, now look at this. Now what I'm doing, scriptlet at page import java.util.date. So that means the page import it does. It imports this package. So that means page directive gives information to the container, servlet container, that is Apache Tomcat. What should be done with this page? What extra parameters I'm specifying for this JSP page. So for this JSP page, what am I doing is I'm importing Java util package, right? So come here, as part of a scriptlet, I have declared an object, date object. Okay, then as part of the HTML code, what I have done, I've defined the table TR, TDs and all. In the one table definition, I'm displaying current date. Another table definition, I'm using an expression tag to display the value of today's date. Okay, let me run this. Only one file, right? Yeah. See here, current date, Saturday, October, whatever the time it is. Okay. So that is for the page import directive. Okay. Now there is the include directive. So we have three directives, right? Page directive, include directive, tag-lib directive. Page directive is basically to specify what specify the attributes of this page. Okay, so that is import is there, buffer size is there, right? For example, if the object size is huge, like then you can specify the buffer size. Usually it is 64 KB, you can specify 128 KB, 256 KB, so that so much of buffer is allocated for this particular page. Okay, if I have huge amount of data coming in, 256 KB, then you can specify using page buffer size directive. Sorry. Okay, so include directive is basically you can include. See, the same thing as a request dispatcher. In request dispatcher, we have forward and include. Forwards the control to the next the servlet file, and include it. That request dispatcher will be included. That resource will be included as part of the current resource. It's the same thing only. Okay. If you look at here, like at include footer.html. This footer dot will be HTML will be included in my current JSP file. So basically, why do you need inclusion is because the code reusability. You need to look at this at the time of a design. That is like what are the common features I require, or what are the common code or module I require in my module or in my project that can be thought of and can be made as part of a module or a common module, and that can be included using @include. So the major advantage using @include is the code reusability is there. repetition of the code will not be there, maintenance will be easy, right? All these are the advantages of include directive. Let's look at include directive. Include directive. Okay, so what it does, yeah, include to include directive.html. Okay, now if you look at, like, the scriptlet, I have defined variable 15, right, and one string, and okay, sorry, not scriptlet, as part of a declaration. Okay, get string, team is learning JSP, that is what I have given. So one variable, one another string variable, one integer variable, string variable, and the method. Now if you look at the HTML file, what I have, table. So I have table of 3 rows. Okay, one is value of integer will be displayed, another row with value of string will be displayed, another row of value of method get string. As part of a scriptlet, I am displaying out.println and get string. So that means I am calling get string method, it returns team is learning JSP. So I have table which displays the value of integer, string, and method. Now what am I doing? After that, I am including page directive include. Okay, file include to include directive.html, right? So what happens, what is this portion, okay, so what it has, include directive.html, hi, from include to include directive HTML, this will be displayed, right? So if I run this, see here, it only this will come, right? Now when I run include directive, all this data in the table, it will be displayed, and another HTML will be included as part of this. Okay, now you look at this, see here, value of integer, string, and this one. Following contents are the content of the file that is to be included. Hi, test, hi from include to include directive.html. So we have used the page directive include to include a resource, an HTML file, into the current JSP file. Okay. The same thing. JSP include directive will include the specified resource at conversion time. Conversion time is at a compile time, right? So when it compiles JSP to a servlet, that time it is included. HTML/JSP file can be included. Syntax is scriptlet at directive, that is page directive, that is at this is directive. Okay, include directive file, this HTML you are including, you are closing the scriptlet. All the lines of the file footer.html will be included where at include is added. So this location where exactly you have specified, exactly there the complete contents of footer.html will be included. Okay, now let's expression language. Okay, as part of the expression language, see what you can do is you can use the shortcut kind of an annotation, right, to display the values. Let me show you the expression language. Okay, ELHTML. EL display. Okay, so if you look at here, if you look at here, you have two fields, name and roll number, and a submit button, and EL display.jsp it is calling. As part of the EL display, you are using you are directly displaying the roll number and name. Okay, student name, I'll say Rajiv, and roll number is 123. See here, student name is Rajiv, roll number is 123. If you look at this HTML file, you are familiar with, okay, then you have, see, one way to get that information is that as you are as part of the scriptlet, you are writing request.get parameter and you are saying out.println and you are doing. Other way of doing this expression languages, you just say dollar. Dollar means content of the variable, param.student name. Param is your parameter, what is coming from the input, okay, and param dot roll number. See here, the roll number, the value of the variable roll number is getting displayed over here. This is another way of writing. So rather than writing multiple statements, you are using a dollar. See, actually, in jQuery also you will be writing very similar to that. Dollar means the content. Okay, you will have so many things. Classes there, ID is there, tags are there. So content of the tag. So you can specify just dollar, open the braces and close braces. Even AngularJS also you will use dollar with braces here like this. So it will specify the content. Okay. Expression language. Okay. Look at the expression language is introduced in JSP 2.0. The main purpose of EL is to simplify the process of accessing data from bean properties and from the implicit objects. Without EL, what you have to do is request.get parameter name out.print hello dot like this you have to write. With EL, what you have to do, you just specify. See, these 4 lines can be included, can be evaluated or done in a single line, $, param, name. Okay. Other great feature EI provides is to handle null gracefully. So if the above code, if there is no parameter name have been set, then first code snippet will show null while EI shows nothing. See, let's say I have not entered anything for the name, right? For the request.get parameter, it returns null, it displays null. But if you use a $, that is expression language, then it does not, even if it is null, it does not show null. Okay, now let's look at like action tags. Okay, there are 5 action tags. Okay, include action tag, JSP forward, the control moves to another JSP. Use bean, it uses the bean class. What is a bean class? It's a Java class with certain properties, attributes with getter and setter methods. Set property and get property. Set property is to set the property of a bean. Get property is the getting the value of the attribute of the bean. These 3 things I'll demonstrate. Okay, include. So it is the same thing as request dispatcher, but a slight difference is there, right? So include action tag can be included like this. I'll show you. Include action. It says include action. Okay. Now if you look at this, you are using a JSP include tag, okay, to include some JSP file in the current file. Page include to include action.jsp. Let's look at include to include action.jsp. What it has, so it is as part of a declaration, it declared a variable number, and as part of, okay, before that you have a form, okay, which has one edit field and you have a submit button. Whatever you type it over here, okay, you are declaring a number, and you are here you are getting a value for a variable. Whatever the text you are getting it like if there is not null, then you are getting the text request.get parameter text integer.parseInt. It gets the whatever the number you give over here, it gets converted to the number. So ideally it is requested to give the number, otherwise you have to throw an error, or error condition has to be checked. So what am I doing? From 1 to less than or equal to number, I am printing over here. So if I give 10, okay, 10 will be 1 to 10 will be printed. So this entire code will be included over here. If you look at include action.jsp, I have not given any code, but I just included another JSP file in this file, right? So let me run this. So it only has this information. Enter the last number till you want to print, and it is just includes this file content. Okay, let's look at this. See here, if I say 10, okay, it prints 1 to 10. If I say 20, it will say 1 to 20. See here. Okay, that is include. Okay, now let's look at what is the difference between JSP include directive and JSP include action tag. When do you use directive or when do you use action tag? The question is, what is the difference between include directive and include action tag? When do you use directive or when do you use action tag? at conversion time. I told you the conversion is from the JSP to a servlet. That is, directive is always at the compile time. Okay, whereas the action tag is always at runtime. Right? Only when it is about to execute, okay, it does this portion. Okay, so where do you require both? When do you require both? Okay, the directive is at compile time and action tag is at the runtime. When static code is required to be included like HTML, use directive, and when dynamic code is required like JSP, use action tag. It's not that you cannot include JSP as part of directive. You can include, but it will be included at compile time. So it is always suggested to include JSP at runtime. Right? So in that case, use action tag rather than directive. Okay. Now let's look at the forward. So again, see the forward is same thing like a request dispatcher forward. See, JSP is the same as servlet, but when writing JSP, it is easy. You need not write web.xml, you need not write HTML separately, you need not write Java code separately. So everything can be included, right? So the like a request dispatcher forward, the control moves from. Okay, the forward tag is basically moves the control to another JSP file or another HTML file, right? Servlet file. So the practical usage of the forward tag is that, like, you know, the entire project will not be written in one file. A part of the code, a part of the application, or part of the work will be done in one JSP file. Some portion will be done in some other JSP file. So you need to keep on forwarding the control so that you can execute that part of the code. For example, in Flipkart.com or Amazon.com, you select the product and you click on buy. So there is a module written for buying the code, sorry, buying the selected item. So you say forward to that particular module, the purchase module, right? So it is executed at runtime. Okay, see here, what am I doing? As part of the JSP forward, page include action.jsp. So that means previous example only I'm forwarding the control to. So it includes include action.jsp. Again, it runs this one. Now if you look at, okay, forward, I'm forwarding the control to this page. Previous program. See here. Okay, I'm forwarding to the same page. But if you look at this file, so forward action.jsp is there. So forward action. Now let's look at use-bean. Use-bean is basically if you want to use a bean. What is a bean? Bean is a Java file which has certain attributes like any string attribute, integer attribute, or any attribute. Then you have the getter and setter methods for it. So that is a bean class. How do you access a bean class using JSP? Okay, let's close this. Let's look at src pack bean.java. Okay, then okay, if you look at the package pack public class bean, I have an attribute called str. Getter and setter method I have. Get is to retrieve the value of str, and set is basically. Now if you want to create a bean class, what you should do is, define a class, set like, you know, string str, then you select refactor, then you have the source generate getter and setters. You need not write get, set, everything. You select generate getter. It is already having this type contains no fields or all fields have getter and setter methods already. I have already generated using getter and setter methods. Okay. If you want, you create a class and set the attribute, give the attribute, and right click on it in that file and say source. go to getter and setter, it will automatically generate getter and setter. Once you select this, it will display all the attributes you have in the class. You can choose in a checkbox which attribute you want to get getter and setter method. Okay, that's a shortcut. Now let's look at the JSP file. Use bean action, right? Now if you look at import pack.bean, so that means this bean class you are importing, right? Now what are you doing? JSP useBean, ID useBean, pack, the class is pack.bean. So for this class you are specifying, giving an ID called useBean. Now using JSP set property action tag, okay, for this useBean, whatever I have set, for the value str I am setting Charan. So that means it is calling set str method using JSP. Now what am I doing? P is paragraph in HTML. Using JSP get property, that is another action tag. I'm for the bean, use bean, which is defined over here, I'm getting the value of it and I'm displaying it. So what should happen? I'm setting Charan and displaying Charan. When I run, Charan should be displayed. See it? Using bean, we are running it. The same thing, Edureka bean, str, getter and setter methods. So use bean, the ID I'm providing as use bean, which class it should refer, this one, and use bean, str, Charan, okay, then use bean, str. Okay. Now the same thing, the explanation for this. Java bean is Java class which has getter and setter methods to retrieve and set the values of the attributes. In the example, bean class has str as the string attribute. Okay, so I'm back. I'm muted. Right. So in the JSP file, use bean tag is used to access the bean class, and set property method is used to set the attribute of str, and get property is used to get the attribute value. Okay. So that is use bean.